Picture this, a city that sleeps, yet secrets that never rest. One moment, your loved one's laughter fills the room. The next, silence. Welcome back, Mystery Mists. Today, we dive headfirst into this haunting depth. Let's get started. 1. Brian Shaffer. In 2006, Shaffer was a medical student at Ohio State. On the night of March 31st, Shaffer and his friend William Florence went bar hopping to celebrate spring break. Sometime during the night, however, Shaffer disappeared. Police reviewed CCTV footage outside the Ugly Tuna Saloon, which showed Shaffer talking with two women. He left them and walked towards the bar, but wasn't recorded ever leaving. This was the only known publicly accessible entrance and exit, leaving investigators puzzled. It's possible that the constantly panning and manually operated cameras just missed him. William Florence has refused to take a lie detector test, leading people close to Shaffer to suspect his involvement. Some believe that Shaffer is dead, while others think he ran off to live under a new identity. 2. Vanessa Guillén. Vanessa Guillén was a 20-year-old soldier in the U.S. Army stationed at Fort Hood in Texas. She told her family and friends that another soldier was sexually harassing her. Guillén said she did not file a formal report because other female soldiers who had spoken out got into trouble. She disappeared on April 22, 2020, after parking her car in her unit's parking lot. Her keys, Idaho, and money were found at her work on the base. On June 30, 2020, Vanessa Guillén's body was discovered at a sophisticated burial site in Belton, Texas. When his girlfriend started talking to the police, Aaron David Robinson ran away from Fort Hood, where he was enlisted. He shot himself when police found him. Robinson's girlfriend, Cecily Ann Aguilar, was eventually charged with tampering with evidence for helping him dispose of Guillén's body. It's believed that the two dismembered the body and buried it under concrete after Robinson beat Guillén to death with a hammer at the armory on the base where they both worked. 3. Henry McCabe. On the morning of September 7, 2015, Corrie McKeague received a horrifying voicemail from her husband, Henry. It features what sounds like menacing growls and human moaning before a voice is heard saying, "Stop it." Henry McCabe was quickly declared a missing person. The last person to see him alive told investigators that he dropped off McCabe at a convenience store following a night of partying. McCabe remained missing for over 2 months until his body was found in a lake roughly 6 miles from the convenience store. The weird thing is that the medical examiner found no apparent injuries on McCabe's body, leading many to question the source and reasoning for the eerie sounds captured on voicemail. 4. Desmond Amofah. Desmond Amofah was a 29-year-old YouTuber using the name Etika. He posted a video titled "I'm Sorry," where he talked about his mental health struggles and apologized to people he felt he had wronged by pushing them away. That night was the last time anyone in Amofah's life spoke to him. His belongings, including his phone, money, Idaho, and Nintendo Switch, were discovered in a bag on the Manhattan Bridge. 5 days later, his body was discovered in the East River in New York City. Investigators believe Amofah committed suicide by jumping off of the Manhattan Bridge. 5. Jamal Ahmad Khashoggi. Jamal Ahmad Khashoggi was a journalist living in Turkey. He wrote for The Washington Post and was critical of his home country, Saudi Arabia. Here's an op-ed published right before his disappearance where he says the Saudi government had him banned from Twitter. On October 2, 2018, Khashoggi went to the Saudi consulate in Istanbul to get paperwork in order for his upcoming wedding. CCTV recorded him entering the building but not exiting. He was never seen or heard from again. In November 2018, the CIA reported that Khashoggi was assassinated on the orders of the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. They believe at the embassy, Khashoggi was ambushed, suffocated, and dismembered by 15 trained assassins. His body may have been destroyed by acid. The United Nations holds the state of Saudi Arabia at fault for his death. Before we dive deeper, if these mysteries fascinate you, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Not just because it supports the channel, but because maybe, just maybe, it brings some good luck to these unsolved cases. 6. Kris Kremers and Aunt Lisanne Froon. These two young Dutch students set off on a hike in Panama on April 1, 2014. With them was a dog that belonged to restaurant owners they'd befriended, but the dog returned alone. 10 weeks later, Froon's backpack was discovered on a riverbank, with her camera and both women's phones. Both had tried to call emergency services on the first day of the hike. A few days later, Froon's phone died, and someone entered false PIN codes into Kremers' phone. More attempts to call emergency services followed. The digital camera contained photos of their hike, but also 90 flash photos from the pitch-black morning of April 8th, one showing the back of Kremers' head. Sadly, the women's bones were later found scattered along the riverbank. It remains a tragic and baffling mystery to this day. 7. Molly Tibbetts. Molly Tibbetts was a 20-year-old psychology major at the University of Iowa who was home for the summer in Brooklyn, Iowa. On July 18, 2018, Tibbetts went jogging and never returned. Her family reported her missing the following day. She had sent her boyfriend a message on Snapchat before she left for her run, and he was the last person to hear from her, but he was confirmed to be 2 hours away at work at the time she disappeared. Molly's disappearance was highly publicized, and there was a lot of public interest in her case. When police found CCTV footage showing a Chevy Malibu driving by Tibbetts several times during her run, they questioned the car's owner, Christian Bahina Rivera. Rivera, 24, then confessed to kidnapping and murdering Molly Tibbetts and led police to her body. Rivera has since pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder. The case went to trial and he was found guilty. In Iowa, this sentence carries a sentencing guideline of life in prison without parole. 8. Yingying Zhang. Yingying Zhang was a 26-year-old graduate student from China who was visiting the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. On June 9, 2017, she meant to take a bus from campus to an apartment she was interested in leasing. She got on one bus and then missed the bus she intended to transfer to. CCTV shows her at the second bus stop waiting for the next bus and then getting into a black Saturn Astra that pulled up to the bus stop. At 1:39 p.m., she sent the apartment's leasing agent a message that she was running late and would arrive at 2:10 p.m. Zhang never arrived, and she was reported missing that night. On June 17, 2017, Zhang's father, aunt, and boyfriend arrived in the U.S. to search for her. She and her boyfriend had planned to marry in the fall. A $50,000 reward was offered for information leading to the arrest of the person responsible for Zhang's disappearance. Brent Allen Christensen, a former grad student at the university, confessed to luring Zhang into his car at her bus stop while she waited to transfer buses. He promised to give her a ride, but instead took her to his home where he raped and choked her, eventually beating her with a baseball bat. Christensen dismembered her body and spread it across several dumpsters. Her body was unable to be recovered. Christensen lived with his wife, who was traveling at the time. Christensen also had another girlfriend who was not involved in the murder. The girlfriend agreed to wear a wire, assuming her boyfriend was not guilty. The audio recorded is what led to Christensen's arrest. On the tape, he told her he was a serial killer and said Zhang was his 13th victim, though police doubt the veracity of those statements. 9. Sierah Joughin. Sierah Joughin was a 20-year-old college student when she disappeared on July 19, 2016. Joughin was riding her bike home from her boyfriend's house, but never made it home even though her boyfriend had ridden alongside her for part of the distance on his motorcycle. A local man, James D. Worley, was quickly identified as a suspect. He had previously been convicted of an eerily similar attempted kidnapping and was released after only 3 years. The tool he used to threaten a young girl on her bicycle previously, a screwdriver, was found at the scene. He lived 2 miles from where Joughin's bicycle was found. Worley is awaiting the death penalty. 10. Corrie McKeague. On September 23, 2016, RAF Regiment gunner Corrie McKeague went drinking with some friends in Suffolk, England. At 3:25 the next morning, McKeague was spotted on CCTV entering the cul-de-sac of Brent Govell Street, an area that contained several wheelie bins. He never left the cul-de-sac. McKeague failed to report for work the following Monday, instigating a missing persons case. His phone was eventually tracked to a landfill, and while extensive searches were undertaken, nothing conclusive was found. The prevailing theory is that a drunk McKeague fell asleep inside a wheelie bin and was crushed by a garbage truck. His remains may have been accidentally incinerated at the landfill, but this theory is contested by many, including McKeague's mother. The world is vast, and secrets are buried deep. These tales remind us of the mysteries that lie just beyond our understanding. Remember, for every story told, countless others go unheard. Let's not forget them. If these stories moved you, make sure to share this video. Maybe, just maybe, someone out there holds a key.